Yeah.
There was the French Premier, Nicolas Sarkozy, getting experimental stretching treatment to add 5 inches, which, coincidentally, is in the subject line of half of the emails sent in the world. This procedure to be carried out by Israeli doctor Yura Schmuck. There were the flying penguins reported by The Telegraph with a link to the BBC site with video evidence. The still photos in the paper look quite convincing. The programme containing the footage would be shown tonight, and there's a clip online. It all seemed quite feasible until you saw the clip and came to your senses. Penguins, flying thousands of miles to spend the summer in the tropics. Aerodynamically, of course, penguins can't fly. But neither can bees. And neither can British Airways customers. But that's not an April Fool's joke. Then there was the wonderful shot of Alistair Darling, our hapless Chancellor, photographed furiously rubbing away at a lotto scratch card. Been doing it for years, says the shopkeeper. Couldn't miss him. There aren't too many chauffeured limousines round these parts, and he's the only bloke he knows with mix-and-match eyebrows. First time he tried, he marked 7 numbers, not 6. Oh, they had a good laugh about that. Chancellor said he was never very good at sums. Sounds quite believable to me. Then there's the Canine Repellent Alloy Protection, or CRAP, introduced by BMW, the brainchild of Dr. Hans Zoff. It prevents any dog from relieving itself on the car by administering an immediate and relatively pain-free electric shock. The 220 volts needed is converted from energy released under braking called rim impulse power, or RIP. There's even a picture of a small dog with smoke coming out of its ears. If it could also stop birds from CRAPing on your bonnet, then they'd really have something. Laugh I thought I'd never start. Relatively amusing. I think the penguins was the best of the bunch.
Did you fall for any?
Well, I thought the penguins, I was convinced. I wasn't convinced. I thought, if the still shots of the penguins flying, they did look like still shots of penguins flying. And then you, go to the BBC website, 'cause I didn't watch their breakfast thing this morning. You go to the BBC website and it has the little, the video player thing. And here comes Terry Jones, ex of Monty Python, introducing this thing about, he's been in the wild and he's been filming these penguins, and much to everyone's surprise, they took to the air. And you thought, wow, those penguins are flying. And then you thought, well, no, hang on a minute, because we're sort of used to CGI special defects, and we'll believe almost everything, but our radar is up now when it seems like, And it was the shot of the toucan watching the penguins come in to the jungle that really sort of put the tin cap on it for me. No, those birds aren't flying. But they must have gone to a lot of effort. It must have cost a lot of money, too.
Well, didn't they use, like, the penguins on their, like, their idents over Christmas? Skating around ice rinks and stuff like that.
Oh, almost certainly, yeah. I don't know. I don't watch idents and I don't watch adverts. That's something that the TV companies are going to have to put up with. We don't watch adverts anymore. We've got machines that take them out. Oh, no. You're doomed. Anyway, so that was all I saw with April Fool's today. It wasn't a great lot. BMW's ad was the best, and it seemed to be the unless I missed others, it seemed to be the only commercial organisation that got into the spirit of things. And they're German. They don't have April Fools, do they?
The problem is, though, it makes you doubt every other news story during the day, doesn't it?
Well, there were some, like the smoking turtle. Did you see that? There was a turtle with a fag in its mouth. It was having a fag. And I thought, well, come on. But then I'd read that story last week. Some guy in China smokes a lot, like they all do. They're going to try and stop 4 million Chinese from smoking in the street. Right after they try to persuade them not to spit in the street, run up to the Olympics. But apparently he smokes a lot, and his turtle kind of likes it. And when he drops a butt on the floor, his turtle races over, in as much as a turtle can race, and has a quick drag on his little faglet. And there was a picture of the turtle with a gigantic ciggy in its mouth. Seemed to be enjoying itself. Of course, it had its head out of its shell, therefore technically it wasn't smoking inside. So that's all right. But I couldn't find any others. And I looked. No commercial organisation got into it. Either that or, TV ads, it's the same with ads in newspapers. I don't know about you, but I'm blind to them. It's almost as though they're completely wasting their money. I mean, they could put an entire full-page advert in the paper, and I won't see it. Like, if it's on the left-hand side, which I think traditionally was the cheaper side of the paper, because as you're reading a newspaper, your eye automatically falls to the right, and not just when you're opening the Sun. That's why they put it there. Boobs on page 3, political news on page 2. All of the day's news is squeezed into page 2, because they know that no Sun reader ever looks at that page.
But they must work, otherwise they wouldn't advertise there, would they?
Well, I don't know, define work, because most companies that advertise don't restrict themselves to putting their adverts in newspapers. It'll be a blitz of, all manner of, they'll do radio and internet and this, that and the other, and who knows which is actually catching. You'd have to say that radio, but then I would say this anyway, wouldn't I? Radio has to be absolutely the best place to spend your money these days, because in a newspaper, I just don't see ads. If it's not print, and you can recognise the difference, even if they try to make it look like part of the newspaper and put above, this is an advertorial, you can spot it a mile off, and I'm just blind to them. They're wasting their money. Television, you just zip straight through. Adverts on radio, wrapped with attention. It's the only reason why we're here. Essentially, of course it is, to fill in the gaps between the ads. There's some coming along in about 5 minutes' time. I can't wait. But did I miss them? Because normally every paper has got their own thing, and I think the Mirror, I can't remember what they did, but it was just silly. Apart from going along, I think they went along with the BBC's thing. Oh, yeah, there's the changing Big Ben to digital. But that must have taken about 10 seconds. That was weak. And reflects the nature of that paper. I'm amazed they're still in business. How many people read the Daily Mirror? I looked up the ABC figures a little while ago, and it's, I think the Sun gets 3 million and the Mirror's like teetering on 1, something like that. Oh, I find it astonishing that so many people buy it. It looks like a student rag to me.
Well, it's a big country, you know. There's a lot of people out there.
So? What's that got to do with it?
So there's a lot of people who are likely to buy it.
Yes, I suppose so. I mean, if the Sun was rantingly right-wing, as it used to be, then I could understand that people would gravitate to the Mirror, who are, they don't want to be have a finger wagged in their face. Like some people do like having a finger wagged in their face, hence the success of the Daily Mail. But others like to think for themselves. Or rather, they've always thought the same way, and they want to read a paper that reflects how they think. And so I could understand them buying the Mirror, because the Mirror has never got anything positive to say about the Tory party, or indeed anybody that's not Labour. It's almost, it's like a party paper. It's almost comical in the way that they just toe the party line. But the Sun's not like that. It sort of makes its mind up these days, in the general course of things, dependent on it used to be the thought that the way that Rupert Murdoch thinks. You know, if you couldn't actually get the word from the man, just try to think what he would think if he were here, and then write that. But that doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, he's got bigger fish to fry. He's just bought the thing in New York, their version of the FT. I forget what it's called now. The Financial Times in New York. What's that called? The big paper?
The Financial Times in New York?
The Wall Street Journal is the right answer. Thank goodness for you.
That's my next guest.
Yeah, he's just bought the Wall Street Journal. He's trying to turn that around. He's busy. Bizzie. But around election time, of course, the Sun will change its mind dependent on who they think will win. Smart move. Ally yourself with the party that's most likely to get in, and then it will smooth your future dealings with them. Genius. The Mirror, on the other hand, will continue to toe the party line. And it almost seems like a furious teenager, really. Bizarrely, the Sun seems more grown up. You can't say that about many papers. It's all boobs and birds. But it does. It seems a bit more like The mirror seems like a stroppy teen, like a Kevin. Oh, like, so unfair, slamming his door. Making excuses on his exams. Apparently it's rife. Hundreds of thousands of people sitting exams are making excuses for their poor performance. They only got an A when they were expecting an A star. And the amount of these excuses that are being accepted is almost 100%. Doesn't matter what you say the problem is, they'll agree with you and give you extra marks, just because you've asked for it.
What sort of excuses are they giving then?
Gosh, I wish I had time to say now, but I'll have to tease you across the break. Isn't that exciting?
No.
7:44. Travel with LBC's Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. If you're heading on to the...
Yes?
Pupils are increasingly using sob stories such as the death of a pet and headaches to win extra marks in their exams. Oh, headaches? That's ridiculous.
They can be quite...
Oh, shut up.
Oh.
New figures show that more than 300,000 pupils have claimed for special consideration marks in the GCSEs and A-level examinations. The Qualifications and Curriculum Authority, the examinations watchdog, reported a 9% increase in successful claims last year to practically 100%. So, in other words, anything that you say will get you extra marks. All you have to do is say it. Under official guidelines, students are given a week after their last exam in a subject to make a plea for extra marks. According to the organisation, only 3 out of every 100 are turned down. Those are pretty good odds, aren't they? Leading to allegations that many students are getting better at playing the system. The rise is believed to have been fuelled by recent reports that pupils with hay fever do worse in summer exams, prompting many sufferers to feign illness for more marks. Students can earn an upgrade if they suffer a serious case of hay fever, a minor illness at the time of the exam, or they've have a broken limb on the mend. Well, how's a broken leg going to affect your memory?
Pain?
A candidate can qualify for an extra percentage points if they are severely affected by the death of a family pet, or they're hampered by a headache. Other minor problems which qualify for special consideration include noise during an exam and stress. Well, everyone's stressed when they're taking an exam. The examination board turned down 780 out of 89,816 requests, a 99.1% approval rate. Isn't that great? I'd like an increase in my performance rating. I've hurt my knee. Ow. What do you reckon? That's worth 3%, don't you think?
I don't understand why they, instead of, like, giving them extra marks for these excuses, why they wouldn't just make them resit the paper again, or a different paper.
That sounds like a cruel and unusual punishment. Get them to sit it again.
Well, yeah, because if they're complaining about a headache on the day, well, then just do it another day.
Can you remember when you were studying for exams?
Yeah.
When you finished your exams, could you remember anything of the subject that you'd just done? Because I don't know about you, I wiped my memory clean the second I put my pen down. I don't remember anything.
I don't even know which school I went to.
Well, yeah, I can barely remember which subjects I took, let alone what was in them. And I was about to start trying to list them, but I stopped at the first hurdle. Maths, I was going to say, and then I thought, actually, did I do maths?
I think I did a bit of French.
Well, that's neither here nor there, but we're talking about schoolwork. Isn't that awful? That you would just blurt that out. That's Jim Davis' show on Friday night. It's a phone-in, by the way. You can phone in if you like, or I'll just do a 2.5-hour monologue, whichever you please. 0845 6060 973. Here's something that I mentioned yesterday about sharp intake of breath all round. Women drivers. Researchers found that women drivers who are chided while driving are more than twice as likely to make mistakes as those who have no constructive criticism from their male passengers. Constructive criticism in inverted commas. Even subtle admonishments, like a man tutting while a woman carries out a manoeuvre, can lead to greater difficulties as the woman gets flustered or annoyed by the criticism. Meanwhile, simply telling a woman that men make better drivers was enough to disturb their concentration and conform to the stereotype. Dr. Courtney von Hippel said, "When people are confronted with negative stereotypes about themselves, they seem to experience an extra mental load, which can decrease their performance on a task. There can be subtle things happening in the environment, while a woman is driving, like a male driver shaking his head while she tries to reverse to park a car.
But if you turn the situation around, men wouldn't get put off by a woman tutting, would they?
Well, and as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, well, yeah, but that's not just women drivers, that's everybody. I mean, I don't know about you, but, I can parallel park a car tremendously successfully if I'm on my own and no one's watching. If you're in a line of traffic and they're waiting for you to do it, there's no way you're going to get in that space. That space could be as big as Belgium, and you'd have 5 tries to get into it. Now, the researchers recruited 168 female students for a computer simulation. Half were told that the study would investigate why men are better drivers than women, while the other group heard no mention of gender differences but were told the driving task would investigate the mental processes involved in driving. Nearly half of the drivers in the stereotype group hit a wandering pedestrian who unexpectedly appeared in the simulation. Well, it's their own bloomin' fault. More than twice the number in the other group. So if you told them that they were doing a study to investigate why women are bad drivers, they were hitting the pedestrians left, right and centre. It's Dr. von Hippel's team from the University of Queensland in Australia published their study in the journal Birds Can't Park.
What?
No, it was Accident Analysis and Perception. There is no journal called Birds Can't Park.
Can't call them birds.
No, that's right. Not that kind of bird. That kind of bird.
Or dudes.
No birds, nor dudes, nor babes, nor chooks, or hens, or
mates.
Yeah, mates is out because of its aggressive connotations. What else did we do?
Love. Sweetie.
Love, sweetie, yeah, honey,
sugar.
Baby. Did we say baby? Sugar.
Darling.
Yeah, sugar. Sugar. How does it go? Hey ho, honey bunch. Love you.
You on your
Everybody! This is on the radio right now. You aware of this? In fact, this is the only thing on LBC at the moment. So I haven't actually said anything yet to invite people to call in about. No. Almost impossible to get people to call in about anything except immigrants and parking. So for the next 2 hours, it's going to be immigrants parking. Illegally. Or, I could tell you that thin people are fat too. People not classed as overweight, but who lack muscle, are just as unhealthy as those who are considered obese, doctors warned today.
What?
I know. It's like I'd give up. A study has found that half of those considered to be a healthy weight for their height are still obese because of the proportion of fat in their bodies. Experts say 2/3 of the population are at risk because they weigh too much, but the discovery of a new condition known as normal weight obesity suggests that 8 in 10 face the increased risk of diabetes and heart disease. Even if you're thin, now, you're fat. Can you believe that? Researchers at the Mayo Clinic, and of course Mayo is right out, which has hospitals in America, found that half of people in the healthy range had a body fat percentage high enough to put their health at risk. Women should be no more than 30% fat, men no more than 20% fat. That's revolting if you think about that. 30% fat? 30% fat! Imagine your body in thirds, and half of that being made up of lard. That's disgusting. Body fat can be measured using scales available commercially or calipers to pinch flesh at the waist. Can you pinch more than an inch?
We're looking at 10 inches.
When you bend over, yeah. Measuring waist circumference at the level of the navel, not trouser waist size, is a good indicator of body fat, but doctors should also move towards using body fat tests in addition to BMI. A lot of men will get away with 32, 34-inch trouser if they belt it underneath the gentleman's balcony, which is this gigantic gut that oversees their... that puts their area in shade.
That can't be comfortable, though.
Moan of disgust through there. You're thinking of Jeremy Clarkson, aren't you? Admit it. Now, there's a man that should never be photographed in profile, am I right? In shorts. There's a man who should never be in shorts. If I were Jeremy Clarkson, I think that I would never be seen outside of a tent.
The thing is, he hasn't asked to be have his photo taken on the beach with his belly hanging out, has he?
Well, now, if it were anybody but him, I would I would disagree with you, but he probably hasn't, no. And he was in Barbados, somewhere like that. If you see a picture of a totally hot babe in the Sun, the Mirror, Star, front page of the Telegraph, any of these rags, they haven't been caught unawares on the beach. They look that fabulous because they've been starving themselves for 2 weeks because they know they had a photo shoot coming up, he said, waggling his fingers in the air to denote inverted commas. It's like, oh, I'm pretending to be caught unawares here. Meanwhile, their PR has set this up painstakingly over the last fortnight. All those pictures of babes on the beach, they weren't just caught accidentally. It's all PR.
Exactly, and so Jeremy Clarkson hasn't invited it at all.
No, unless he is of the impression that he is himself a totally hot babe. Oh, my body. You'd have to have seen the third Austin Powers film to make any sense.
Well, it's not as if he gets it out in the car, is it?
But he does look as though he eats babies.
Which he doesn't.
It looks as though he's eaten a beach ball. He was playing with one and then accidentally swallowed it, as you do. 97.3, LBC. And LBC. Today we're giving away another 42-inch Samsung Plasma television for your chance to win. Make a bid in the newest How Low reverse auction. This has got the lot, baby. It looks fantastic even before you've taken it out of the box. It's HD ready, built-in Freeview, instant access to loads of free channels. You won't need a set-top box. To enter a reverse auction, text LBC plus your bid in pence to treble 821. If it was 87p bid, you would text LBC 87 to treble 821. Bids cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines close at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. It's the person with the lowest unique bid what wins. Good luck. Dulwich, hello, Richard.
Hello, Nick.
Richard.
Yes, right, it's about what you said earlier about skinny people and fat people.
Yeah.
And how, if you're skinny, you're equally as unhealthy as a overweight person.
Yeah. You're fat even if you're thin.
Yeah, that's the one. I agree, mate. I mean, I've had a look at I've been on your website. I'm not exactly bulky or fat, but I'm a pretty good build, and I work alongside, at the Ideal Home Show, I work alongside a guy who's very, very skinny, and it looks really, really awful. It just looks, I mean, I'm not saying skinny people look awful, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying...
Yes, you are, Richard. That's exactly what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, if you're, grown man and you're 8 stone, let's say, it's not, that can't be healthy. That just can't be that being healthy,
Hey, what's it like working at the Ideal Home Show?
yeah, okay. It's not too bad. There's a lot of stuff at home. Yeah, so I do.
What are people, what's the most popular thing there at the moment? What are people queuing to get into?
I would say food. It's mainly food, funnily enough. We've got some really good stuff there, but it's mainly food, I think, that takes the show. But you've got some cool jacuzzis that are about 20,000 feet tall. It's great. Not 20,000 feet, but, very, very big. It's great. I've got some tickets if you want them. I've approached you guys already, but you're very, very busy. Ends on the 6th, so...
Right, okay, so don't delay, do it today. All right, thanks, Richard.
Hello, mate.
Jacuzzis, that never seemed very attractive to me. Like, occasionally, they got one at the gym, and occasionally you go to hotels and they've got jacuzzis, and sometimes there's even been a jacuzzi in the room that I've had. I don't want to go anywhere near them. It looks like a human frothy soup to me.
What rooms are you going into?
All the bits that have shed off the parts of other people that have gone in there previous to you, mixed with chemicals, and that just looks revolting. It smells bad as well.
Yeah, but you do forget about it when you realise how nice and relaxing they are.
Well, no, I can't relax into it. I just keep thinking about all the sloughed skin and bits that have come off people that are being whirled around me.
But they do recommend that you shower before and after.
Yeah,
you go
and during. Yeah, and they also recommend you don't enter one. It looks like it looks like a bacteria stew. Yeah, horrible. I don't know why. Unless you had your own, which I sort of get, but then you'd have to clean it all the time. Well, I don't understand them. But then I don't understand massages either. I don't think I've ever enjoyed a massage.
Really?
Well, no, not really. I always come out thinking, well, that's just... I used to have an osteopath, and she was about 50 years old. She looked like she just stepped out of a yogurt advert. Fittest person I think I've ever come across. She used to do she popped and cracked me, you know, the osteopath, which is a bit of a racket, osteopathy, really. You go to an osteopath, and it's kind of like going to a therapist. Going to one makes you need to see one. You come out of the osteopath and you think, wow, I just feel fantastic. I particularly like the one where she gets your head and twists it around, and it sounds like a volley of rifle shots go off. The bones in your neck, when they pop those, wonderful sound. And you come out thinking you've grown about 2 or 3 inches. And then about a week later, as your bones all shunt back down into each other again, you need to go back to see the osteopath again. It's like a circle that never ends. I think it's a bit of a con, osteopathy. In much the same way as pouring your heart out to a therapist is a con. And I'm speak as someone who did psychology for a degree. Which doesn't mean to say that I know anything about the subject, of course. But, you know, going to see a therapist makes you need to go and see a therapist. It's just one of those things. So as soon as you start letting it all out, then you just got to keep doing it. How did we get onto that? Oh, yeah, massage. Well, of course, there was the debacle in Thailand. I wanted top-quality Thai massage. And the difference between having a massage in a spa and having just an ordinary massage on the street is about £100. There's no other difference. Oh, some candles and some tinkly music, and that's about it.
That sounds very, very nice.
Well, yeah, no, I gave it up after about 5 minutes. I thought, this is stressing me out. I'll have to leave. I'd ordered up the Blissful Journey or some such nonsense like that. And, no, I just had to go. They were mortified when I left. Oh, if you think that they bow and scrape in Thailand when things are going well, you should see them when things are going badly. Good grief, I thought they were going to offer to kill themselves. Let's have Enfield. Hello, Tony. Gorn. Eltham. Oops. Eltham. Hello, Phil.
All right, Nick. Hi.
Phil.
Yeah, just literally heard you talking about massages and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just was coming out of the station today, and I got a flyer from a woman who's trying to sort of flog Chinese massages.
Oh, yeah.
And something called a tuna. Tuina massage.
A tuna massage?
Yeah, it comes with salmon and all sorts of
lettuce
fish.
and dressing.
Exactly. But I've always fancied one of these, and they always say it helps with stress, this, that, and the other. I've never understood how it's meant to help you mentally, just by shoving some needles in you or rubbing a muscle. You know what I mean?
Well, I had the needle thing. What do they call that?
Acupuncture.
Acupuncture, yes, of course, yeah. I had acupuncture once. What a load of old rubbish that is. It's nonsense. It makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Neither does Chinese medicine. What else can we knock down? I had to... Oh, God, Chinese medicine smells repulsive. You have to get a special pot, and it's made of glass, and you boil this stuff that smells like you're boiling the insides of a dog. It makes everything stink. And you have to boil it not just for a little while, but for hour after endless hour. And then what you're left with looks like you've just strained Hampstead Heath through an old sock, which you then have to drink. It is awful. And somebody just died from that recently, which is not a laughing matter.
Really? What? Some toxins?
From taking some sort of Chinese medicine, so I can't recommend that either. What is good? Music! Hey, you know what is actually really good for you, and that doesn't hurt when you take it? Music. I'll come into that in a minute. But the whole process of getting naked with somebody else and having them knead your
need your
needs. Yeah, that entire thing makes me stressed out.
Yeah.
Apart from when I was with my osteopath, because it was, she was like a. It was like being in. It was like being in a yoga advert with. This is the kind of woman who used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go and swim in Hampstead bathing ponds all year round. She would break the ice on the surface if necessary. She's one of those people. She had the hardest hands of anyone I've ever experienced in my life. But you go to an osteopath and they massage you, and it's not for pleasure. There's pain involved, and if it doesn't hurt, then they go to the part that does hurt. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Nick, can I just one more thing quickly?
Yeah.
So, you're always going on about BBC Breakfast News.
Yeah.
The silliness of it.
Mm.
I watched it this morning for the first time, and is it the bloke you're talking about? The sort of silly actions. Is it a man?
Silly actions?
Yeah, the way he behaves.
Oh, behaves. I mean, they'll just sit there. It's just it's what's said that irritates. But anyway, what were you going to say?
No, the sort of, when I was sort of looking at the actions and facial features, because I had mute, I was listening to RBC at the time. But,
of course.
but the guy sitting there, he sort of looked, at 7 in the morning, he looked like a kid who had been taken to a fun fair.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
He was so ecstatic about everything.
Yes.
And I was thinking, like, that, if I was doing that job, I'd be miserable as sin.
Well, you have to get up so early, and you have to... If you get up for radio is bad enough early in the morning, and I've done that, and you're tired all the time. Well, mine was a 6 o'clock start. 7 o'clock, that's easy. 6 o'clock was an absolute full-on nightmare. You have to get up at 4 in the morning, and you never get used to that. No. But can you imagine getting up at 4 in the morning and having to look good at the same time?
Awful, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's 8 o'clock at night, and I look terrible. Look at me.
Steve Allen, I'm sure he must find it difficult, but then, as you say...
Steve Allen's up so early, I wouldn't be surprised if he never actually went to bed. Yeah. Maybe he's on late for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot, Phil. 0845 6060 973. It's 8:14. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks very much, Nick.
Come on, dear.
Does anything actually work? Any of these sort of hoodoo, voodoo therapy type? Like a massage, I've never had a massage that made me feel better afterwards than I did before. I always feel a little uncomfortable while it's going on, or in great pain. Or I think, this isn't that great, I wish I hadn't spent the money on this. One of the worst I had was from, it was a guy who was approximately the size of Birmingham. This bloke was huge. And he, like I said, you can go a bit harder than that. He looked like the kind of guy that if he pushed hard, his hands would actually go through your body and be touching the couch. Nothing. So I thought, like, I'm lying there thinking, well, this is irritating me because I'm not getting anything from this. So I've never had a massage that made me feel better about spending the money that made me less wound up than I was to begin with.
But surely part of it is in your head, isn't it? And you just have to think, oh yeah, this is doing me good.
But it's only doing you good if it is actually doing you good. I mean, if you're just sitting there and you're thinking, or lying there and you're thinking, well, you don't really know what you're doing, do you? Skin polishers. That's what they call them. People don't actually get in there and move your organs about, which is what you actually want, isn't it? You want somebody to be violent with you, very slowly.
Shake you up a bit.
Yeah. I don't believe that the needles work, 'cause I've had that.
Oh, really? Where?
In my face and my hands, which is and my shin bones, which is like the worst place to have it apparently in your hands, because all of your feely parts are in your hands. That didn't work. What else? Chinese medicine. I don't think that works. We're running out. Do any of these alternative
remedies?
Yeah. I mean, well, massage isn't really an alternative remedy, isn't it?
I think it's just a placebo effect, isn't it? That's all it is.
Well, isn't that bizarre? That drugs that don't actually have anything in them actually work.
Well, it is. It's mind over matter, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can think yourself well, because you can think yourself ill sometimes, can't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
I suppose the reverse is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I specialise in thinking myself ill. I do. There's a rut between me and my doctors for the stuff that I've thought myself into. Here is Wolverhampton. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Nick.
Andy.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you as regards massages. I do a lot of running.
Yeah.
And I went to a guy who did sports massaging, and it was agony.
Well, now,
I mean, it was real agony.
Yeah.
And this was the first one, so like he wasn't really going for it.
but that's different. I mean, when it hurts as a therapy, then they're actually trying to. Well, what my osteo used to tell me was, if it doesn't hurt, then it doesn't need fixing. The part that hurts, that's the part that she works on, which made me not look forward to her treatments very much, but you did feel better once you'd had them done.
Yeah, in all fairness, I was getting kind of pulls in my hamstring and stuff.
Yeah.
And, it did get rid of it. But at the time, it was like torture, and I'm lying there thinking, you know, when you feel, I wish this was over. Yes, there is the fact I've paid all this money, but it wasn't that. It was just like, I'm not enjoying it at all because it hurts, and it is slightly kind of uncomfortable as well.
Did you feel that it was like a temporary thing, that it only made you feel better until you went back next week?
Well, that's exactly the point. The next time I went running, I was great, and I was floating, you know, and I didn't feel a thing. And then maybe the next time after that, and then the third time, I started hurting again, and I wasn't running as quick as I did the last two. And exactly as you said, then they said, well, you need to go back now. Look what it did for you. Come back again, it'll do it again. And as you say, it's kind of like a circle then. Yeah,
it's kind of, and then it gets like painting the fourth bridge. It never stops.
Yeah, and you're kind of caught between the middle, aren't you? Because you want to feel as good as you did those first two times.
Right.
But what do you do? Or do you go back to pain?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what you think. I think a bit like that with cold remedies that you buy. I think they get you better for a bit, and then you get ill again. So you have to go and buy some more.
Yes. Well, they're
not even remedies, are they?
Well, no, they just make. Yeah, that's right. There's evidence to suggest that it actually makes it worse. It prolongs the cold.
Oh, is there? Because I always think that. I thought I was a nutter because I thought that.
I read somewhere recently that if you snort seawater, it gets rid of your cold.
Oh, really?
Either that, or you just feel so terrible that you forget you've got a cold.
I'm struggling in Wolverhampton for seawater.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah.
Some canals.
Not perhaps actual seawater, because that's got all sorts of unpleasantness in it. But salt water, and I think that you can get it from your local chemist.
Hey, they did a excuse me for butting in. They did an April Fool on another radio station. I don't know if it's a national. I think it's national, but it has like regional bits to it.
Yeah.
And they got in early. They kind of kicked it off almost at midnight last night, and they made out that they got someone who claimed to be from the Birmingham Sea Life Centre, or probably even was, and they said that some piranhas had escaped, and they'd got into the Birmingham canal system.
Right.
And they carried this gag, as you say in inverted commas, right through to lunchtime today, and it came out on every news bulletin and updates, and go onto this website to...
And guffaws all round, right?
Yeah, if you like.
All right. Thanks, Andy.
Oh, nice one, Nick. Cheers.
0845 6060 973. At Banstead. Oh, Charlotte.
Hello, Nick. How
Charlotte, I'm all right.
Did you see the RAF flying along the Thames today?
No, I was really annoyed about that because I could see where they go right from my window, and I forgot about it.
Oh, right. They look really great.
Yeah.
Apparently it's about the RAF anniversary, wasn't it? 90-something.
The anniversary of the something with the RAF, yeah. Sort of half read.
The Red Arrows are actually flown by the veterans of the war, you know, like the Iraq War and the Afghanistan. I didn't know they were actually flown by pilots of what was fought in the war.
They're actually flown by pilots?
They actually fought in Iraq and Afghanistan.
What, by definition, or just...
Well, no, they've actually been in, and they do fly them.
Right.
The Red Arrows. I thought this was special pilots.
Uh-huh.
Actually, yeah.
So there you go, the stuff you learn, eh?
Yeah. Actually, it makes you proud to be British, doesn't it? When
No.
you do things like
What, the Red Arrows?
Yeah, with the red, white and blue. And everything.
Oh, the red, white and blue, yeah. But not the Red Arrows.
Yeah.
The Red Arrows make you proud to be British.
Yeah, well, things like that don't
There's
make
plenty more that makes you proud to be British, but I think the Red Arrows are not part of it. I mean, what's it like? Six guys in planes.
Yeah, and the Typhoons, the RAF Typhoons.
And the what?
RAF.
The what?
And the RAF.
And the RAF. Oh, well, now you're talking.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, Charlotte. Cheers, my dear. Ta-ta. 0845 6060 973. Music is apparently something that has a definite, a positive effect on illnesses, and all kinds of illnesses as well.
What, good or bad?
Positive.
Oh, right, sorry.
And it doesn't hurt when you're listening to it. Well, of course, it depends on what you're listening to, but... Listening to music can do more than temporarily boost your spirits if you are depressed, stressed, in pain, or have suffered a stroke or other brain injury. Latest research into the neurological effects of music using highly advanced brain scanning techniques has given scientists proof that listening to anything from Beethoven to Bruce Springsteen can improve health and speed recovery rates. In other words, if music was a pill, we'd all be popping it.
Groovy.
In an article in the medical journal Brain, Finnish scientists claimed that people who listen to pop, classical, jazz or folk music for a couple of hours a day after a stroke had better verbal memory and were happier and more focused. So if it works for them, then imagine what it would work for, how it would do for healthy people. Scientists believe that music directly stimulates the recovery of the damaged areas of the brain while helping it to repair and renew. It also helps to improve alertness, attention and mood. Alertness. Not in ordinary everyday, because I can't, like most men I think, I can only do one thing at a time. And I can't listen to music and read or write at the same time. I have to have complete silence. And it flies in the face of what your parents always used to tell you when you were listening to pop music. It'll rot your brain, they said. Quite the reverse, Dad. There you are, you see? Black and white. A 2003 study published in the American Journal of Advanced Nursing found that listening to soothing classical music can reduce chronic pain by up to 21%. That's huge. And depression by up to 25%. According to an Arts Council report, rheumatoid arthritis sufferers who listened to 20 minutes of their favourite music a day reported a significant reduction in pain. And meanwhile, the mere act of singing was shown to increase the quality of life for people with progressive dementia. The director of an American hospital's coronary care unit once notably said that half an hour of classical music produces the same effect of 10 milligrams of Valium.
Yowza.
Singing! When you sing, in the few occasions in life when you can actually sing, if you're not a member of a choir or a band, you do actually feel a charge going through you. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you're sitting in your car and a nice tune comes on the radio, and you start singing along, you do get the joy of life pouring into you. Is it just me?
You do, but is it just because it's a distraction from...
from the hell outside?
Yeah. No,
it can't be. I think that the act of making noise with our mouths that is in tune, there's something quite elemental about that. It just taps into... I've got absolutely no idea. I'm not a scientist. Why are you asking me?
Is that why it's good to talk?
It's better to sing. You do feel... In fact, this whole show should be sung. Dr. Wendy, a music therapist at the Institute of Neuropalliative Rehabilitation in London... Blimey, wouldn't that be awful to be a receptionist at that place? Institute of I mean, you wouldn't... You'd want to give up after about 9:05, wouldn't you? Institute of Neuropalliative Rehabilitation. How may I direct your call? She believes music therapy should be used alongside conventional medicine to treat everything from autism to accident injuries. Music is a mega vitamin for the brain, she says. I'm on about 3 Motorhead albums a day now, man. But I can handle it. It's just that my ears are bleeding a bit, that's all. This is LBC. It's 0845 6060 973 as we progress towards the new news, and we'll be back after it. It's going to be 8:30 before you know it. 97.3 LBC. LBC 97.3. The time 8:30.
Absolutely.
Wallington. Oh, Joan.
Hello, Nick.
Hello, Joan.
You would think that you'd forgotten what I told you about alternative medicines, wouldn't you?
What did you tell me?
Well,
I have forgotten.
I haven't had any doctor's medicine for over 30 years. For years and years and years.
You haven't had any doctor's medicine for...
No, I have survived.
I've been
very
taking...
nicely, thank you.
I've been taking all the stuff that you haven't.
Yeah, you probably had my ration and more. Yeah, because...
Well, maybe you're just one of those kind of people that nothing ill occurs to.
I used to be ill all the time, like you.
Yeah.
I used to have colds and colds and colds.
Mm-hmm.
And headaches and headaches and headaches.
I haven't had a cold in a good long while.
Oh, well, good, that's good.
I have much more serious and involved illnesses.
Yes, I know there are serious and involved illnesses. I've treated serious and involved illnesses with the same. My children, 2 lots of appendicitis.
You've treated appendicitis?
Yeah.
How?
Well, the doctor arrived, and I knew it was appendicitis because I'd already studied acupressure, so I knew the exact points to test. So I knew it was, so he came and he said, oh, yes, he said, but we won't do anything about it now. We'll wait until the crisis, which means, when it's just about to burst and they roll you in and you might die and you might live.
Why would he say that?
Well, that was very often the way they dealt with appendicitis.
Right, pretend
until it was about to burst, and they would leave it until then. And I thought, just a minute, this is my son he's talking about. Excuse me. So I just started treating him with the same things I was using, which were these mineral salts in a homeopathic form. And, I just bashed those into him for a day or two, and that was it.
Is that true? Well, maybe he didn't have appendicitis.
Well, the doctor came and diagnosed it.
Right.
No, he really did. And, in fact, my other son was, by this time I was fairly well into appendicitis because he was misdiagnosed by the doctor. Now, he'd already left home, and I just thought, no, I'm going to call into him this day because he'd said to me the day before that he had this terrible, terrible stomach thing, and I knew perfectly well it wasn't a stomach upset. I knew it was something quite serious.
Yeah.
So I said to him, well, you're not living with me anymore, you better call the doctor, And so, anyway, I just thought I'll call in on him, and I went round, and he was in absolute agony. And the doctor had actually prescribed some stomach potions of some sort. Now, that's the last thing you must take if you have appendicitis. You must never take anything for an upset stomach. Anyway, I said, lie down on the floor, and I knew exact point, which is the appendicitis point, and that's what he had.
And you gave him salts?
So I brought him home.
Now, you're one of these kind of... You're not like a militant type who refuses all proper
No,
medicine.
I used to absolutely trust doctors until... One doctor I had wanted me to have a hysterectomy when I didn't need one, wanted me to have a tonsillectomy when I didn't need one, and I had to start taking a little bit of a, either I'm going to listen to him and have one operation after another, or I'm going to do something about myself. And then, I just started learning. And it's been absolutely, fantastic. But then, see, that led on from... Once you go on a different road, different path, from the tissue salts, I would go to healing. If I thought it was a suitable time or something, I would go to healing. And one time I had a slip disc, the doctor came and he said, I'll give you painkillers, and walked out, And I thought... You're
lucky to get doctors to come and see you all the time.
Well, that was a wee while ago. They probably won't bother now. Anyway, it was absolute so-and-so. And I managed to get down to get some healing, just hands-on healing.
Healing?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, people either put their hands on you, or they put their hands near you. They don't actually have to put their hands on you. In fact, this particular...
But, Joan, people listening to this are thinking, oh, this woman's off her head. What's she talking about?
Yeah, look, I'm living, right? I'm living. My family's living.
So somebody cured a slipped disc just by putting their hands near you?
Yeah.
Right.
And he said, well, the actual one that's wrong is here. And he said, but it isn't actually a slip disc as such. It's a lesion of the something. And I was back at work on the Monday, and that was that.
Right.
I was still a bit weak, but, you know, I was okay. But there's just been endless things. And, I mean, I progressed on from that.
Well, you know, what Chris said earlier on might be part of this. It could be that you think it's going to work, so it does.
Yeah, but then why wouldn't I have thought it was going to work when the doctor did it? And as, you know, I had it all my life.
Well, you have no faith in...
No, I'd always
medicine.
trusted doctors,
right.
always. And it was only when I started to have bad treatment from doctors and that I was sort of forced. I really was forced because I was desperately ill. I was forced to find other answers, otherwise I wouldn't be here today. At all, really. I mean, he wasn't even interested.
Well, you know what? All this stuff...
Can I say something else? A wee bit else.
Go on, then.
Because you were talking about music, and that reminded me about how I then discovered books that talk about saying words, and the vibration of the words actually help
you can cure people by saying things.
Yeah, because I started to use it when I had very severe stomach thing, which had been a bit of a pain for a good long while, but I was getting it better, and then it was getting bad, and it was getting better. And then I discovered this book completely by accident. I had it in the house for 3 years and didn't think of using it. And then I thought one day, well, I might as well try. And within 2 hours, this particular problem was better.
By doing what?
All right. By just using these words.
Just saying things.
These words.
Saying things cured your illness.
And once that happened, then I thought, well, if it works on that, what about my headache?
Well, like what? Saying what sort of things?
Well, for headaches, for instance, I would just say divine order in my head.
Divine order?
In my head.
Right, well, not out loud.
You don't have to say it out loud, but if you're in a house on your own, you can say it as loud as you like.
And that cures a headache?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
Joan,
first time...
Never heard such load of old rubbish in all my life.
You don't say that. The first time I did it, it took at least 2 hours.
Well, so in other words, your headache just stopped.
Sorry?
It took 2 hours. Well, that's just...
Yeah, but after that, because your subconscious or something gets used to it, then it will react within minutes. So you don't have to go on for hours, and you don't, and I don't get headaches anymore because of minutes.
That might be that is an interesting point, actually. If you associate having done something with the stopping of pain, then whether or not it actually affected your pain, just the association might lead you to thinking that the pain is dissipating.
Evidently, the theory is that you get in tune with your subconscious where the main problem lies. But normally we just work with the top of our heads.
Well, that sounds very much like therapy.
Of course it's therapy. Well, it's all therapy, isn't it? Of course it's therapy.
Divine, what is it?
Order in my head. There are different words for different parts.
Well, is the in my head part of it, or you?
Well, I invented that to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Because the one I started with was quite a long one, but it involved simply saying divine order. Because the word order is associated with the navel center. It's a very...
Yeah, you were ahead almost just a little while ago, but now you're straying into La La Land again.
Well, why can you say that? If I keep myself going with it. And as I say, it's... You can do it for all sorts of things.
You've done very well, and you're almost 21.
Yeah, and I'm not wearing cardigans either.
I'll send you one in the post, Joan.
Oh, that's nice.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
It doesn't matter really whether they're successful or not, or whether you can, even if you can prove that they are, the medical profession is not interested because you can't make any money out of it. All of the money comes with medicines, pills, potions, injections, long-term medical treatment. They're not really interested even in curing things.
Are they?
No, they're interested in helping you manage your illness. If they cured something, it's like inventing a light bulb that never breaks. Then you don't get an extra sale.
There's no market for it anymore.
Well, exactly. If it's a one-shot fix, then you don't need to buy it twice. But if you just if you can stabilise the illness and maintain it over a long period of time, well, they're like drug dealers all over the world. It doesn't matter what kind of drugs it is, it's all the same. I'll give you the first one free, and then make sure that you're hooked and you keep coming back for more.
It's a very negative attitude.
Well, it's just true, isn't it? Beckenham, hello, Jim.
Good evening, Nick.
Jim.
Hi, about these alternative medicines.
Yeah.
I had a torn ligament and stretched tendon in my foot and my leg, and the hospital wanted to cast it, but I was told that it would never completely heal, not 100%. If I
Cast it?
Put it in a cast.
Right.
So I thought, I won't have a cast, I'll carry on walking about, and hopefully it would strengthen it and it would heal properly. So I suffered in agony for about a year, getting worse and worse, going to chiropodists, poderists, every kind of ist. In the end, although I'm an atheist, I went to a faith healer.
Right.
And he said, sit down. I was in agony. He said, sit down, put your foot up on the chair. So I put my foot up. He started waving his hand about above the leg and the foot, a few inches above it.
Waving his hands in the air like he just don't care.
And then he said, after a few minutes, he says, is it getting any better? And I says, well, yeah, it is getting better because my foot's up in the air and my weight's off it.
Right.
I says, but as soon as I stand up, I'll be in agony, and I'm still in pain. He ignored me completely, carried on, and then he started mentioning money. I just says, forget it. I got up, hobbled out, and in the end, I had to go back to the hospital, and they fixed it. So, faith dealers, no.
Okay, so you didn't feel the power of the Lord?
I did not feel...
No.
It felt better because I was sitting down and
Yeah.
my feet was up in the air.
It's a miracle, Jim.
It was a miracle.
All right. Thanks very much.
All right, then.
Cheers. Charlatans and like a lot of faith... well, a lot. Let's say all. Faith healing. Praying. Everyone prays, and if by coincidence what you're praying for happens, you think, oh, that's the power of prayer. No, it ain't. It's just coincidence. Because if that's the power of prayer, then what about all the other prayers that aren't answered? There's no proving that any more than there's proving healing by all these strange means. I guess that's the nature of faith, eh?
It must work for some people.
Yeah, by coincidence. Not happy with that. It's 8:44. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks very much.
Greg.
Nick.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Very well.
Oh, well, it must be working then.
Well, when I say very well, that's just being polite. Actually, I'll give you a list of my maladies in a moment.
Yeah.
I'll just type them up.
I'll get my pen and pad
There you
ready.
go, yeah.
This whole medical thing, I'm always been a little bit, not suspicious, but wary of Western medical practice.
Western?
Yeah, as opposed to, say, the Chinese or, the Eastern, it's always poo-pooed over here.
Yes.
But really, we don't really know. I mean, if we knew all the answers, but we don't, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So
well, yeah, but that's not really very helpful, though, is it? Sometimes it does, and sometimes, if you leave it alone, it might go away.
Well, exactly, yeah. But we're always being nudged along the way by the medical practice by saying, well, don't waste your time with anything other than the pharmacological...
Yeah. Well, that is true. I mean, it costs something like 100 million... They're staggering this. 100 million pounds to bring any new medicine to market.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of vested interest there to make us neglect any other way of treating whatever's wrong with us and go with the pill.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there are thousands of stories of all the things that, that would shock everybody of what's been going on there.
Yeah.
But I was at my doctor for the first time for years. He said to me, he said, he didn't actually say, I thought you died. He said, but, he said, where have you been? And,
because if you died and he didn't know about it, then he wouldn't have got the little check that they get to sign your death certificate.
Oh, is that what they do?
Yeah, they actually get money when you die.
They get a bonus.
Yes, exactly, yeah. But in much the same way as the guy at Northern Rock got a bonus, for failure, yeah.
But he did all the usual, blood tests and blood pressure and everything's tickety-boo.
Right.
I said, I just want a 5,000-mile service, basically.
Yeah.
And I said, but I've got this neck pain. And straight away he went, arthritis. He said, I'm 99.9% sure. He said, you're very lucky. He said, people of 30 get it, apparently. I didn't know that. But now, according to him, I've got arthritis. And he said, I can prescribe you some pills and all that.
Did he tell you to go swimming?
No, he didn't.
Because my GP said I got arthritis. He said go swimming. It wasn't arthritis at all. It was a torn meniscus.
Oh, the old torn meniscus boy again.
That's
Reared
right.
his ugly head. No, this one was in my neck, and he said, I can write you out a script for some pills. And I said, well, I'm not very... I said, I very rarely take anything like that. I said, I'm not all that keen on starting on a course of any pills. And straight away just shrugged. He said, yeah. He said, you're probably right. He said, he won't cure it. But he was prepared initially to give me that idea that it was going to...
Well, that's right. I mean, the pressure that doctors are under from medical companies must be immense to prescribe the latest this, that, and the other. Because if it does cost 100 million quid to get a new thing to market, can you imagine the pressure that the companies involved would be putting on GPs to write it on their little prescription pads?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole business there.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be free trips to Paris to see the opening of a new pill, and, it's like, here's a leather-bound notepad for your desk set, and, all of that sort of stuff. I'm sure they get no end of freebies.
Yeah, but I'll have, I've got aspirin, what are they called? Oh, aspirins, basically.
Aspirin, yeah.
Kept it. But if I've got anything wrong, I will sort of debate for hours before I actually take it. Think, well, should I do this because there could be knock-on effects, and I don't want to start on the aspirins.
Really?
And by the time I've decided, it's normally gone anyway.
Right.
But the only thing that I keep in my little cabinet that I've had for years is Tiger Balm.
What's that?
Well, it's a Chinese. I think it's Chinese. It comes from the East anyway, and it's just a mixture of different things.
Is it made from actual tigers? That was a recording of a tiger earlier.
Yeah, I hope not, but it's mentholated.
Ah, mentholated.
It's a kind of cure-all, because if you've got a head cold and you're blocked up, you just rub a little bit on your hooter, and it clears it.
Right.
And
because it's mentholated, do you have to take it while skipping through surf in America? Do you remember those adverts for, well, I suppose you'd have to have got American magazines, but forever, if it was a mentholated cigarette...
Yeah.
Which used to be on the back page of, like Rolling Stone and National Lampoon, stuff like that. They were always young people running carefree through surf while smoking mentholated cigarettes.
No, that was by a mountain stream. You'd be sitting there looking tanned and healthy with a check shirt, and you'd have a menthol cigarette in your gob.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I thought that was just for the cowboy country cigarettes.
No. This is all ferns and bubbling brooks.
They're doing very well, though, by the way, the tobacco companies. They're doing super fantastically. Thanks for asking. There was an article in one of the business sections saying which shares should you buy for the downturn that's approaching, and cigarette companies was right up there, along with the drug companies.
Well, they're going big time in Africa, aren't they?
Well, there's a whole world that hasn't started yet. Yeah.
But the Tiger Balm, you can put it on your nose if you've got a head cold, and if you've got a headache, you just rub some on your temple.
Yeah, and your head bone's connected to your
thigh bone. And,
you do need to see a doctor.
And muscles, if you have like aching.
Oh,
muscles.
I haven't got any of those.
Well, you will do, don't worry, and you can rub that on. It does so many things, and even if it's not even related to it, you put some on because it makes you feel better.
Right.
And it doesn't cost loads and loads of money.
Okay, well, I'll be sitting in the bath of it later on, see if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as long as is that an actual, is that a brand name?
I don't think so. I think it's a generic thing. I think it comes in different pots and vials, and you
can pop it, snort it.
Well, I wouldn't recommend it, but I suppose you can try anything once.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the plug, Greg.
Okay.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. This the thing with the NHS I might get into in a minute. A group representing nearly 1,000 doctors are preparing to mount legal action against the health service because people are actually paying for some of their own medicine, which is against the law.
How do you mean?
Oh, I'll tell you in a minute. Hang on. Kingsbury. Hello, Maggie.
Oh, hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Yeah, listening to some previous callers, I've had quite a positive experience with the faith healer.
Have you?
And I used to suffer with depression about 3 years ago, and I did suffer with headaches and the things that are associated with depression, you know, kept crying and all this, that and the other.
Right.
And I did go to my GP and I went to other doctors and I went for counselling, and I felt I wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I was still repeating the same old stuff, but I wasn't getting better.
Did you feel that counselling was actually making you feel worse?
Yeah. I went in there with, like, I'm going to be okay, and I came out crying all the time.
Did you wonder when you went in, why are there boxes of tissues everywhere?
Exactly. And that wasn't even enough, because I didn't want to go in crying, and then you're reliving everything that's happened to you, and you don't want to relive it.
No, that's right. It almost puts a dark cloud over your head wherever you go, yeah.
Exactly. So, my husband was talking to a friend of his, and he recommended a faith healer. Because my husband was saying, well, you know, Maggie gets all these headaches. It was like a piano tuner, you know, those sort of things that really vibrate.
Yeah.
So every time I lifted my head up, my head was just pounding.
Now, when you say faith healer, do you mean in a church?
No, he was in. He had his own house. He's a 19-year-old Irish boy.
What?
Now you think, oh, my, yeah, exactly. But he was so highly recommended because the friend that we know, he's an Olympic judo participant.
Yeah.
And he had back problems. Now, he went to Harley Street and he spent thousands. And he was told about this faith healer. He went, cured. Absolute. To see what he's like now, it's shocking. So I went to see him. I was very dubious because I had, like, gone to the doctors and counsellors, and I didn't feel any better.
Well, if you could make a judo protagonist to feel... And they tie themselves up into pretzel-like shapes, don't they?
Exactly. So I went to see him, and then you think, oh, my God, he's only 19. He could be a con artist.
Well, yeah.
But I went in, signed all the official forms.
Official forms?
Yeah, you know, talking about what your experiences are and what you're suffering with, yeah?
Right.
And then he takes you to this room where there's a couch, and beautiful music playing out, and you're lying there, and he's not touching you, but you feel his presence, and his hands are hovering, and the heat that came out of me, and the way he messed around, well, not messed around, but the way he touched my head without touching it, if you see what I mean, it was like I was wearing a very tight swimming cap, and he very gently took it away. And I just felt so light. It's really weird, but I just felt completely different.
How much did it cost?
£15.
Wow.
And he says if there's any more problems in the future to go to him, no extra charge. He's a lovely fella. I've been told not to mention his name, but I mean, every time I've got somebody who's with a friend who's got any problem, like my mum, she's got a heart problem, I recommend him. Absolutely, no problem.
But unfortunately, you can't say who he is.
No.
Right.
I can't say who he is, but I mean, he's just, to me, I'm very sceptical. I don't take tablets or anything like that. I didn't even go down the road of Prozac. I thought I'd break out of it, but counselling made me worse.
Yes.
So going to this faith healer...
And this bloke was the real thing. Huh. Well, what about that? Well, thanks very much, Maggie. That was an inspirational tale. Of course, actually having faith works too, because people who believe in God and follow a religious path, they also feel better and ill less. Apparently. This is LBC.
Monkey.
Hello, boys.
Do you remember when they were planning on exploding the first nuclear bomb? Well, no, neither do I. But when you look back in the documentaries and you see them doing that, at the time, people were very concerned that by exploding the first nuclear bomb, they were going to set off a chain reaction which was going to explode us all. Right. You're familiar with that, right? That the fear that by splitting one atom, all of the atoms on the planet, and indeed the universe, would all split in a chain reaction and everything would disappear.
I'm not that great with science.
Well, no, me either, and neither were the people that said that. But they went ahead and did it anyway. Well, there's now concern that exactly the same thing is going to happen again, and the concern is going through the courts. They're trying to prevent people doing some bizarre experiment because they think it might be the end of all of us. I'll come to that in a minute. You know, the death of the entire universe. But let's deal with something more important first. This is what I mentioned just before the news. A group representing nearly 1,000 doctors preparing to mount a legal action against the health service to stop care being withdrawn from patients who want to pay for their own cancer medicines. It's seeking a judicial review of the Department of Health policy that forces patients to pay for all of their treatment if they buy any additional medicine. If you buy any additional medicine to the treatment that you're given on the NHS, they whip away all the NHS benefits, and you have to pay for everything. If you buy one small extra thing that will help you, they say, right, that's it. You now have to pay for the lot.
So, does that include, like, saying, buying some extra paracetamol?
I don't know. Presumably, yes, because otherwise where'd you draw the line? Many patients would like to buy extra drugs that are not offered as part of their treatment because the National Health Service has ruled that the benefits don't justify the costs. The government fears that if patients make the purchases, called co-payments, it will lead to a two-tier NHS. Now think about that for a second. The government is frightened about that. The government is concerned that you might get yourself better treatment than it's offering. What they want is for everyone to be treated the same. In other words, for everyone to have the same poor standard of treatment. Because if there's something better that they're not giving you because it costs a lot, then they're insisting that you don't get better treatment. You have to have the same poor level of treatment as everybody else. That's staggering. I mean, you might as well say, oh, well, you know, some people can afford a nice, comfortable bed in a nice, well-ventilated and warm room. They can afford a nice, big bath and constant hot water. Some people can. A lot of people can't. So we're going to physically come into your house and rip your boiler out. Just so that you have the same life as everybody else. That's insane.
A little bit harsh.
Last December, there was reported the case of Colette Mills, a breast cancer sufferer from North Yorkshire, who was told that if she topped up her medication with privately bought drugs, she'd have to pay for her entire treatment, £10,000 a month. The Department of Health has issued guidance to health trusts warning them that co-payments are not allowed. And in December, Alan Johnson, the Health Secretary, when given the opportunity to say, oh, come on, this is daft, people should be able to help themselves if they can. You know, people aren't equal. Money is the great unleveler. Not everybody has an equal opportunity for jobs that are out there. You know, some people can afford to go and buy a £2,000 suit from Armani and look nicer than a guy who's just bought his suit at the pound shop. He will have an advantage. Now, does that mean that because there's an advantage that we should shut down Giorgio Armani?
You'll only have an advantage if the boss judges people on image.
Well, of course they do. The boss knows the second you walk in the room whether he wants... he knows whether he doesn't not want you. That's a double negative.
Right.
He knows if he doesn't want you the moment you step in the room. So you can only go upwards.
So image is everything?
Yeah, well, for the purposes of an interview, essentially, yes. The image of the CV that you've given him, if it's typed nicely and it doesn't have spelling mistakes, and you don't start it out, watch a mate. As somebody did. Somebody actually presented a CV. This was, one of these sort of yearly roundups of daft things that managers have been given. Somebody was given a CV which started out something of the order of watch a mate. I done. And then he listed the things what he done. Didn't get the job. The doctors point out that examples of co-payments already exist in the NHS. For instance, in dental care. Does NHS dentists actually exist anymore? I haven't had an NHS dentist for as long as... I mean, I can never remember having one.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm on one.
Are you?
Yeah.
How did you find them, then? You want to keep him quiet.
Shh.
Dr. Christopher Lee, steering group member, said that doctors are caught in a terrible dilemma. Do you now imagine this. Do you tell a patient about a drug that could improve the quality of their life, or do you pretend it doesn't exist? Because that's what the government would have them do. To tell me any part of that either makes sense or is morally justified. That is insane. Or am I completely wrong here? Is it quite right that everyone should get the same standard of treatment regardless of their ability to pay or not? I mean, if you were in constant pain and the NHS said, well, it's a bit expensive, we don't want to give that to you for free, But it would improve your life no end. You wouldn't be in pain anymore, and, you'd be able to laugh and cry and sing and dance and skip through fields of flowers. Oh. But you can't have that, because we don't want you to. Because not everyone else can.
Meanies.
Yeah, so you must suffer. It's the government's policy. That's crazy, isn't it? It is. There's no getting around it. That's insane. So these doctors are actually taking the government to court about this. Good for them. It's about time somebody stood up for sanity.
Why don't you do it?
Yeah, that's right. I'll do that straight away, because they'd really listen to me. Yeah. Fool. So that was that. The other thing that caught my eye today was Harriet Harman in a flak jacket. And everyone's hyperventilating about this. She goes on a walk around in a stab-proof vest, right? And there's sharp intakes of breath all round, and they think, oh, it's disgraceful, it's a sign of the times, and this, that, and the other. Here's the Mail. She was taking no chances as she began her walk on the wild side. Despite being surrounded by a phalanx of police officers, Harriet Harman chose to wear a Kevlar-reinforced jacket, proof against guns and knives. The occasion? A death-defying tour of her own constituency. The famously politically correct deputy leader of the Labour... Is she deputy leader of the Labour Party? I didn't know that. That's embarrassing. That I didn't... I guess that information has presented itself to me before. I've just ignored it. Well, they come and they go. You can't remember them all. They're going to be in and out, you know. There's only so many compartments in my brain that are working, and I have to be very careful about what I put in them. You know, there's only so many files that still got any room in them. Most of them that are completely full, of course, I've lost the key. I'll never be able to get back into those again, unless under hypnosis. Her decision to wear the body armour was seen as a sad reflection of modern Britain, where police feel they have to offer VIP guests protection. Well, that's not why she was wearing it. AIDS, when a government is under attack, you get the sense that the press scent blood, and any little thing, they're kind of like sharks in a feeding frenzy. Any tiny little thing will get savaged, and this is a tiny little thing. It's ridiculous. The picture that went with this, by the way, was actually put out by the Labour Party. So they, hang on a minute. They did this to themselves. Aides of Miss Smith compounded her gaffe with a desperate attempt to undo the damage by claiming she had recently popped out in the evening to buy a kebab in Peckham. In fact, she has round-the-clock police protection, and the owner of the kebab shop revealed that Miss Smith had been accompanied by a burly minder when she popped in for a £3.90 doner on a late afternoon in January. That was the most dangerous part, eating a doner kebab. Asked whether she would feel safe walking the streets of Hackney, one of the most deprived areas of London, the Home Secretary replied, "Well, no. I don't think I'd ever have done. I just don't think it's the sort of thing that people do, is it, really?" Well, two mistakes there. First mistake, being truthful, which is an obvious schoolboy error. Politicians...
Schoolgirl?
Yeah, quite. Don't want to be truthful, only if it is towing the party line. Second part, when asked if she would feel safe walking the streets of Hackney, she said, "I don't think that's the thing that people do. People don't walk the streets of Hackney." Well, how else are they supposed to get around? And they say that the Labour Party is out of touch.
I'm just more surprised that the doner kebab was the food of choice by the deputy leader.
Yeah, very suspicious. I wonder if she actually ate it, or whether it was just a photo opportunity to, you know, I'm eating the food of the people. The Harman gaffe emerged after aides for the MP for Camberwell and Peckham, who was also leader of the Commons, sent a picture of her touring the area with police to local newspapers. So it was her own aides that sent out this picture of her in a flak jacket. Beatrice Smith, 63, says, "The only time we see Harriet Harman is either on voting day or during some PR stunt. There's a lot of trouble on the estates, but we don't get given stab vests." It's just a lot of a lot of smoke over nothing at all. They said, here, this is what we wear. You're going to come on a little jaunt with us. This is what we wear now. And she thought, oh, I'll put that on. I'll just put it on, see what it's like. I'll walk around. And then somebody took a picture, and then suddenly she apparently can't even walk with police guards without a stab vest. But the press are having fun with this, and we'll just go with it. 0845 6060 973. It's 9:15. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond. Here's one in Harrow. Harrow, Jeremy.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yes, it's a couple of points, actually. One about Harriet Harman with the stab vest.
Yeah.
I mean, what message does it send out to the people where she's walking that it's not safe in her constituency? I mean, talk about being set up for April Fool.
Well, yeah, but, you know, the reason that happened was, presumably, she didn't have a PR minder with her at the time.
I wouldn't even put it that way. She is an experienced politician. She's been on the benches for years. Surely she must unless she's detached from reality, she must realise that this is not going to look good. Especially as you mentioned Jackie Smith with the kebab. I mean, they talk about two faux pas. I mean, absolutely.
But you know what? When I was listening to people hyperventilating about this during the day, I was thinking, well, what do we want here? Do we want people who just don't make faux pas, or do we actually want real human beings?
No, I don't mind having real human beings, but there's a difference between making a faux pas and making a complete and absolute idiot of yourself.
I think that's going a bit far.
No. I mean, look, I'm a councillor in the London Borough of Harrow. I mean, I'm also a painter and decorator. So it just goes to show anybody can do it. But the fact is, I mean, I've been asked, well, if I went out with the police, will I wear a stab vest? And the answer is absolutely not. I'm not the police. I'm not wearing that uniform. It is not part of what I am. And what message is it going to send out to people who has a blimey? The councillor's out with a stab vest on. It's not safe for me. I mean, it's one of those things that, in actual fact, are blooming obvious. Now, the other thing was about this business with we were talking about drugs and the NHS and things like that.
Yeah.
Because we have this very badly named organisation, NICE, the National Institute for Clinical Excellence. I mean, talk about being falling foul of the Trade Descriptions Act. Here we are, we pay something called national insurance. Now, with the I word, insurance, you think we're paying some sort of premium, that we're going to get a service, a pension, or our teeth done, or whatever it is, and it's not. It's just, all it's become is another tranche of income tax. And when you get an organisation like NICE telling us that you have to go blind from wet macular degeneration before we'll give you any pills, or you have to go even more doolally before we'll give you any pills for creeping Alzheimer's.
What they're saying about the blindness thing, they're saying that you have to go blind in one eye before we'll give you the medicine that will prevent you from going blind in the other eye.
Well,
what kind of a country is that?
Well, they may as well give you the medicine. I mean, here we have a government that keeps talking about how compassionate are and how terrible the opposition are and this and all the usual stuff, and they're still falling into the same traps. Now, we've got this idea now today of everybody over 40 is going to go for their health MOT. Well, that sounds like a very good idea until you realise that doctors are going to have to deal with 60 million extra cases a year on top of the ones that are urgent, because we're just going to get the worried well going there again. So we're going to see another dilution of funds away from the people who really need it. And those who've got degeneration, macular degeneration, or diabetes, or things that are chronic and they can't do without their medicine, they should have those as a priority. But these silly initiatives, they actually make the government look even more stupid than it's making itself with stab vests at the moment.
All right, cheers, Jeremy. I think the stab vest is just, it's just a slight PR error. That's all. It just looks like, in retrospect, it was a bit silly, but, it's the seeking out of gaffes that is part of the problem, I think. I mean, no wonder people are complaining about the calibre of people who are going in the Houses of Parliament. I mean, you'd have to be off your head. The microscope that you're under, every tiny little thing that you either do now or have ever done is going to get pulled apart, and we'll see if we can't make an ass of you.
But if that's the case, then they might as well just go about their daily business just doing whatever they want, because everything's going to get in the papers, isn't it?
Well, it depends. I think it depends on whether you're caught in a perfect storm, which they seem to be caught in now, and any tiny little thing that adds to the sort of right-wing press's picture that they're painting is going to get shown up like this. And in the Mail, this was an entire page. She went on a brief walkabout. I don't believe that the press were much in attendance, because the press, the report was that one of her own aides took the picture and sent it to a local press, from which it was presumably disseminated to the nationals. And then they took one look at it and thought, well, they had a good laugh about it, actually. And then they wrote articles about how outraged they were, sniggering while they wrote it, I'm sure. It's just a bunch of nonsense. Ain't that right, Les?
That's absolutely right. But who put it on her?
Well, she put it on herself.
No, she did not.
I thought they offered it to her.
No, the police put it on her.
Right.
Right? Health and safety.
No.
Absolutely. Guaranteed. They would not walk around without them themselves. Notice everyone had one. She had to have one. Sorry, mate.
The police would not have said you've got to have one of these to walk around the streets due to health and safety.
I bet you they did. They're not having well, look, we got them all, son. You could have one, young lady.
They used to call them sissy vests, didn't they? I'm sure they did. But,
well, listen, I find it very funny, but they obviously put it on her.
I think they offered it to her, showing her this new vest that is light and so on, and
yeah.
Or at least this. I'm only repeating what she said. She said that they offered it to her, and this is what we have now, and we can chase perps because it's much lighter and it doesn't interfere with our limbs.
Yes, I said, oh, like that. Oh, okay, thank you very much.
So you actually might be right there, Les.
She didn't think someone would pick her up on it.
Yeah, that actually, because it's her explanation that I'm parroting, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm part of the problem. Oh, no.
We're all part of the bloody problem.
I suppose so.
There you go. Spot, mate.
It's mostly your fault, Les. Cheers, mate.
And yours. Bye.
Yeah, but really, this is what we're obsessed about now, is tiny gaffes. Well, that's all it is. I want to. And this is our political obsession now, catching people out. We can point the finger and laugh. So it is no wonder that the people that go into the Houses of Parliament aren't perhaps the brightest bulbs in the box.
You've got to have broad shoulders, though, haven't you?
Either that, or you have to be a total airheaded dimwit, and just all sort of go over you, just like water off a duck's back. It not affect you in any way.
But the thing is that do they actually think about every situation, every photo opportunity that they're going to generate?
PR people do. Yeah, I mean, that's their job. That's why they surround themselves with PR people all the time. That's why they're spending millions and millions of pounds of our money on consultants and public relations wonks. Yeah. Well, I suppose spin, yeah. It's to make, it's to eliminate instances of them looking like dopes. And to make everything they do appear better than it actually is.
But the press doesn't like stories like that.
Well, they do and they don't. When one gets through that obviously hasn't been through the machine, then they savage it, like her and her stab vest. And then they complain that that all of the information that's coming to them has been put through a spin machine. But it's their fault, because they're rabidly searching for anything that's going to make anybody in a position of power look bad. So it's not their fault. Actually, it's our fault, because we are obsessively consuming it. It all comes down to us. We make me sick.
But we don't buy the papers. We just buy.
Oh, yes, we do.
But we buy the papers, but not because
on the basis of that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's the all those checkout magazines, the ones that they put at the supermarket checkout? Which are the ones that are most successful now? Are they the ones that show happy, smiling people at their best? No. They're the ones that are zeroing in on
faults.
Well, yeah, I was trying to think of some, like Madonna's cellulite. Does Madonna have cellulite?
Probably not.
Probably not, no. I don't know. And, dimpled thighs here, and extra added cleavage here, and this one's had a nose job, and And this one looks drunk because the snapper took a picture as they were blinking, so their eyes are half closed, and it makes you look drunk. And those are the pictures that are making most money these days, not the ones where people are well made up and happy and smiley and got their kids in tow and look like the perfect family. It's us that are doing it. We want to see the threads coming off.
No, I think people just buy it just for a bit of escapism rather than the specific content.
No, escapism is Hello magazine, where everybody's, being interviewed from their luxurious living room. We don't want that. We want to see them dishevelled, half naked, and distressed. Hence, Britney Spears, you see? The perfect case in point. 97.3, this is LBC. You're listening to LBC on 97.3 FM in London. Time for the news at 9:30.
I enjoy working with people.
I mostly enjoy working with Joe Parkinson, who's our entertainment specialist.
It's the first time we've done this.
I know. Well, we did it on the phone.
Yeah, we did it on the phone.
So to speak.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, you've just been somewhere exciting.
I have. If you're a Doctor Who fan, very exciting.
Yeah.
It was the sort of premiere of the first 2 episodes of Series 4, which starts on our screens on Saturday night.
Premiere? Of a TV show?
I know. It was at the Apollo West End, so not quite Leicester Square. But
where's that?
On Regent Street. It took me ages to find it, actually. It's 19 Regent Street. And I just think Regent Street sort of begins at Piccadilly and works the way up to Oxford Circus, but there's a bit of Regent Street that goes down as well.
Lower Regent Street.
Lower Regent Street.
Oh, that's how they trick you.
But it just said 19 Regent Street, so it took me a while to find it. But there was crowds, so I should have just looked for the crowds, really. But
well, so they're making this into a really big deal, like a movie opening.
Every time they do a launch for Doctor Who, I've done the Christmas episode and I did Series 3, and they just keep getting bigger and more flash, and that's the same as the sort of shows, really. The Series 2 was better than Series 1, Series 3 was better than Series 2, and so on. And the Christmas episode, which actually I don't know if I was a massive fan of, with Kylie Minogue in it. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
I mean, I thought it was a bit overrated, actually, but it was...
Well, that's my impression of Doctor Who, period.
Is it?
I'm afraid.
You're not a big fan?
Well, I tried it. You know, as a kid, I didn't enjoy Doctor Who, because I thought... The point that my interest waned was the Doctor Who at the time. I can't remember which one it was. He went into a tent and he got zapped by some monster, which made him into a bubbling pancake, a green pancake on the floor. And his assistant rushed into the tent and said, "Doctor, are you all right?"
Clearly
He's a
not.
green pancake.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, this is not a programme for me. So do they lay on like champagne and crisps
and nibbles?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the posh nibbles. You know, when they come on a china spoon, and you're not quite sure what it is, but you have to try it, and then you have to eat the whole spoonful because otherwise you're left holding a china spoon.
No, I've never experienced that
Never had
before.
posh
I
nibbles
thought
like that.
I thought you were going to tell me something like what they have backstage at Oasis. What's on a spoon? Oh, nibbles.
It's nibbles.
Right.
Yes, it's like little bits of risotto.
And did they have like a red carpet?
There wasn't a red carpet because there was too many mad Doctor Who fans outside. They'd all found out that that David Tennant was going to be there, and they're quite freaky, the Doctor Who fans, aren't they? So they
I've no
decided,
idea. Are they like do the time warp? What's that? Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
They all dress up and...
They dress up, and they know every single thing there is to know about every single episode and every single character. Going way back, you know, right back to Doctor Who, right from the beginning.
So presumably they're old enough to know better?
Some are, some aren't. And there's the younger generation who've got into this, you know, new lots of Doctor Who. I like David Tennant, though, I have to say.
Yeah, he's less irritating than any Doctor previously, I think.
Yes.
The one that they came back with, I can't remember the chap's name.
Christopher Eccleston.
His maniacal grin was just a bit much for me, but this guy seems less irritating. There's less negative about him than any of the others I can think of.
He's just so nice. I mean, you know, some of these stars are like try to play everything down, and well, I'm not really that bothered. And David Tennant, on the other hand, is just like an excited little kid.
He's also very vulnerable and very moving, and she's just brilliant. So I'm really excited.
Does he speak like that on the show?
No, he's got a London accent on the show, a Southern accent.
So he's actually...
Scottish.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's acting, yeah.
He's a brilliant actor, I think, David Tennant, and I do think he makes a lovely Doctor. One thing I wanted to ask him about was a story in the newspaper today. Now, I did see through this one. I didn't fall for it myself, but I did want his reaction. Story that Amy Winehouse has been signed up to play one of the monsters in it.
Did you find out there? But, in the world of Doctor Who, anything is possible.
Now, is he actually that nice, or is he just putting it on?
He really is that nice.
Okay.
I had a conversation with one of the showbiz journalists down there. We both agreed that he's probably one of the nicest people that we get to interview.
Oh.
And he came and hid in the room with us as well, because there was a little room that we were in, and the cinema was full of people. And he went out and he'd done his sort of TV interviews and had his photo taken. Then he came back and he was like, "Do you mind if I just stand in here with you guys until it starts? Because it's too much out there." It's nice. We like him a lot.
So you saw this. Did you hang around to see it?
I watched the first one. I could have watched the second one too, but then I thought it's just going to be a really late night if I stay and watch the second one. But I watched the first one. It's called Partners in Crime, and it's all about his relationship.
Oh, don't tell us.
With Catherine Tate.
Oh, you've told us.
It's not that much of a secret. If you bought this week's Radio Times, then you'll know all about it.
All right.
They've gone to town.
Was it any good?
Yeah, I mean...
Is that a no?
Do you know what? I have to agree with you, Nick. I never really liked Doctor Who when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's just not really my type of thing.
Right.
I appreciate why this is great. And I think Russell T Davies is a really good writer, and some of the lines that he does. And I also like David Tennant as the Doctor.
Yeah.
But I do think it is a little bit overhyped.
Yes, but are you a Trekkie fan? I mean, do you like any of that sort of stuff? No.
Nothing like that.
Okay.
So it's not really my type of thing.
No.
It's not Sex and the City or...
But I think that the BBC thought that they'd breathed life into something that was previously considered dead, and everybody started clapping their hands, and they thought, wow, we've really got to run with this.
Yeah.
And it's almost as though it's the only programme that they make. They're making such a big deal about it.
I know, and the only one they spend all their money on. I think
Yeah.
they spend $500,000 on the advert that was shown in cinemas.
For the advert?
There was a trail for this series, and they were showing it in cinemas. I mean, this is the scale it's got to. Cost £500,000 of our money.
Wow. Well, I hope they're making it back with overseas sales.
I don't know if they do sell it overseas. They don't sell it to America, which I thought it would be really big. In the same way we get big American shows, why don't we give them Doctor Who?
Are you sure about that?
I don't think they do. I think it's maybe it's on what is it?
BBC America.
BBC America.
Right.
But I don't think it's very popular over there. In the same way like EastEnders has that cult following. I don't know for a fact, but I don't think so.
Well, I suppose Americans have no end of sci-fi shows on their television, don't they? I mean, they've got all of the Star Treks and then everything else that I can't think of because I don't really watch them, but there's no end of stuff like that.
I did ask Russell T Davies about that once, and he said it's not that big over there.
Right.
But it is huge over here, and it does get massive ratings, despite the fact they keep changing the time that they're going to put it on. It's at 6:30, I think, this Saturday. And they would rather it was a later slot.
Well, so they could... more violence and nudity?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the Doctor gets his kit off. That's what they want, anyway. But Catherine Tate, I think, is a great addition for this. She's back as Donna Noble.
Right.
And she's going to be in every single episode. Billy Piper comes back as Rose for about 3 episodes. And Freema Agyeman, who they got in his assistant for the last series, who they didn't really keep, I don't think... They thought she worked as well as they wanted. She's only back for 3 episodes, but Catherine Tate's in every single episode.
Right.
And I spoke to her tonight. She wasn't looking forward to seeing herself on the big screen.
I don't really like, put it on and lock her out. So, no, sorry, I'm watching myself on the telly.
Not sure I'm believing that. Actors don't watch themselves on TV.
According to Catherine Tate.
Right. They may protest that they don't, but I think they probably do. I mean, if you were on TV, don't you think you'd take a little peek to see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially if it was on every Saturday.
Well, yeah.
I definitely would. So I don't think I believe that either.
And what kind of makeup of audience was it? Were they kids, fans, bored media people?
Lots of media people with their kids.
Right.
Jonathan Ross.
Yeah.
He always goes to these things, always brings his kids. In fact, lots of people who are on radio stations that I probably shouldn't mention because it gives them publicity, but they were all there with their kids. And
they probably own them all now.
Yeah,
you can go ahead.
Well, we either own them or we're taking them on. It's lots of BBC people there.
Oh, well, we don't mention them.
No,
so how did it go down with the crowd? Were they whooping and yelling and cheering and all that sort of stuff?
Loads
Anybody
of that.
Shooting at the screen?
No shooting. No shooting.
No, right.
But lots of whooping and cheering, and the kids just love it, though. That's what, does fascinate me, is that the kids are just their jaws are open, and at the end they do a Q&A, which I didn't stay for this time, but I've done it before, and they just can't wait to ask Russell T Davies all these questions, and they know all about the villains and the baddies, and they say, how did you make him do this? And they're fascinated by it, so that's quite nice to see.
But that's what I've always felt about it. It is a children's show, but they're trying to sell it to us like it's an adult programme. Essentially, it's just a silly man in his phone box, isn't it?
Yeah. The TARDIS. I saw that the TARDIS was there tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get my picture taken with it, though. I keep thinking I should really stand next to it and just get someone to take my picture, but I didn't.
Well, you have to act casual at these sort of events, don't you? Pretend that you're not that bothered.
Yeah. Who cares?
Who is Donna Noble, by the way?
Donna Noble is Catherine Tate's character.
Oh, right.
Now, she appeaed in series 3 this episode called The Runaway Bride, and the Doctor wanted to take him with her into the TARDIS, and she said no. And then Catherine Tate, the person, decided, actually, I'd quite like to be involved with Doctor Who. And so she then got into the series 4, and she's in every single episode as Donna Noble, who apparently has changed quite a lot, according to Catherine.
Oh, yeah, you do see a much more vulnerable side to her.
Well, she's fallen on her feet, hasn't she? Because you can't say, am I bothered for the rest of your life?
I know.
That'll get really tired really quickly, won't it?
You just sort of do want to say that to her every time you see her.
Yeah.
One of the catchphrases. But I think she's trying to move away from all of that, which is why this is, perfect.
I'm sure she gets it all the time, and I'm sure she dies a little inside every time someone says it to her.
Yeah.
Jo, thanks very much.
Thank you, Nick.
A Doctor Who special on LBC 97.3. It's 9:45. Travel now with Amanda Red.
Bingo.
Now we are in amongst a How Low auction at the moment, which ends tomorrow at 7 in the evening. It's for a 42-inch Samsung plasma television. It's got Freeview built in. You don't need a set-top box to gain access to all of those extra TV channels. It looks absolutely fabulous, even when it's switched off. And this is the kind of thing that can be won for, well, 1 pence, if that's the bid that you make and nobody else does. It's a reverse auction. The person with the lowest unique bid wins. That's the lowest bid in pence that no one else makes. The game closes 7 p.m. tomorrow. To bid, text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. If you were to bid 83 pence, you would text LBC 83 to 88821. Bids cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines close 7 p.m. tomorrow. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. I mentioned this Big Bang thing, which I suppose is appropriate considering what we've just been talking about, science fiction and so on. A giant particle accelerator that mimics effects of the Big Bang. You're familiar with this, right? This is in, I think this is in Switzerland, isn't it? They've built this huge thing that's about as big as a football field that just whizzes particles around in order to smash them into each other, which they say is going to recreate what it was like a millisecond after the universe started.
Is it outdoors?
A giant particle accelerator that mimics the effects of the Big Bang could destroy all life on Earth.
Oh, no.
Yes. By sucking it into a black hole.
I think I've seen that film.
Walter Wagner, who runs a botanical garden on Hawaii's Big Island, and Luis Sancho, a Spaniard, have asked for an injunction to prevent the European Centre for Nuclear Research, or CERN, starting up the Large Hadron Collider. The accelerator, which will be the world's most powerful particle smasher, is due to begin hurling protons at each other at its base outside Geneva this summer. Poor little protons. Physicists hopes that the device, which has taken 14 years and £4 billion to build, will provide clues to the universe's origins by mimicking its condition a trillionth of a second after the Big Bang.
But just clues?
Not a millisecond, a trillionth of a second.
But not answers, just clues.
Well, I'm thinking, what's the point? I mean, what are they going to do with the information if they get it?
How much does it cost again?
£4 billion. That's what they're telling us. So if they say 4 billion, you'd have to, triple it and add some. Although CERN scientists have already ruled out the possibility of a safety review, Mr. Wagner and Mr. Sancho say that there's at least a small chance of total annihilation of the planet and the universe. Now, I'm thinking, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing, right? And they're saying, oh, well, we're not very interested in that. There's nothing to see here. Please move along. So there's a possibility that the entire universe may cease to exist and they're not prepared to do any safety checks. Well, if you'd spent 14 years getting to this point, then you think, well, there's nothing going to stand in your way now. I don't care if I do die. Their lawsuit, filed at the Federal District Court in Honolulu, seeks a temporary restraining order, banning CERN from finishing the accelerator until it has produced a safety report and an environmental assessment. Oh, they'll have blokes with high-vis jackets and clipboards, sucking their teeth, going, oh, tricky. A risk assessment, that's what they want. They'll have to interview the universe to ask them how they feel. Defendants named in the suit are CERN, the US Department of Energy, and Fermi, the National Accelerator Laboratory and the National Science Foundation. The US Justice Department said it would represent the Energy Department at a meeting over the lawsuit in Hawaii in June. They're serious about this. They're taking them to court. CERN isn't bound by American courts' jurisdiction, but Mr. Wagner said a restraining order on Fermilab and the Energy Department, which helped to supply the accelerator's crucial superconduction magnets. They're my favourite type of magnet, by the way. Would be enough to keep or to stop the programme. A spokesman for CERN said the lawsuit's claims were complete nonsense. Much higher energy collisions than those at the LHC occur in nature because cosmic ray particles zip around our galaxy at close to the speed of light. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You did not. The moon has undergone such collisions for 5 billion years without being devoured by a ravenous black hole, he said. Well, I don't know. Does that make you feel any better?
Are you allowed to go on tours of this big spinning thing?
Yeah, at 10 trillion miles a second. You actually finished the tour before you started it. It's that quick. We're about to get sucked into a black hole, and it's not nearly as exciting as it sounds.
It can't be that true, because it would be headline news all around the world, wouldn't it?
Well, it is in April the 1st's edition of the Daily Telegraph. Right. But I'm certain that there were concerns about this before today. I mean, there was a lot of stories today that you thought, is it? Isn't it? But I think some of them, the more fanciful ones, they've been building up, because they're not... news like this doesn't splash every paper on the same day. If Harriet Harman walks around... if they get a picture of Harriet Harman looking dopey, then that will splash every paper on the same day, because they're just clapping their little hands together in glee that they've got another one over on the government.
There should be a rule, though, in all newspapers that the following day after April Fools, that
they explain themselves.
They explain
exactly
all
right.
stories
yes.
that weren't true.
Yeah, I think so too, and they never do that.
Nope.
But I think the BBC was definitely the most successful today. The Flying Penguins.
Did they admit that, though?
Well, I've got no idea. I haven't seen them. I haven't watched. But presumably, I mean, you'd think so. The News 24 people, if they've been
laughing their heads off.
Well, if they've been hiking that video clip around, then they'd have to come clean at some point, because otherwise people will raise a finger of complaint and say, "Well, I've just booked a trip to Antarctica to see the Flying Penguins. Look at the money that I've just lost." There'll be something like that. You know they will. So they'll have to cover themselves. But it doesn't make any difference, because we're all going to die in a black hole. But it's like I said before, people were concerned that when they let the first atomic bomb off, that it was going to cause a chain reaction that would vaporise the universe.
Would
no
the Earth be the first planet to disappear into the black hole, though?
Well, if it was... I'm glad you asked me that question. Here are some jokes that the Daily Mail printed today in response to the sex discrimination laws introduced by Harriet Harman, which means that landlords could be punished for allowing sexist jokes in their pubs. Here, in a defiant stand against the Killjoys, the Mail presents a selection of the best jokes that would fall foul of the legislation. Now, you've been making notes about what we've been talking about so far today, right?
Yeah.
Is that a no?
No, I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Show me the list. That's just a paper with scrawled writing on it. And from this distance, I can't tell what it says.
Well, she has, and I'm going to read it.
Righto. OK, well, your music starts. Give me an audio cue at 9:57. A pub landlord advertises for a new barmaid and receives applications from 3 candidates who are all equally suitable for the job. He calls them all in, and at the end of each interview he asks each one the same question. If you were cleaning the bar, once it was closed for the night, and you found £10 on the floor, what would you do with it? The first one says, I'd place the money in the till. You've been good enough to give me a job and I'm happy with my wage. The money is yours. The second says, I'd place the money in the till and I'd take £5 out for myself. That way we're splitting the money, and that's only fair. The third one says, I'd keep the money. It's the perk of doing such a menial job, and as such, it's my right to keep any money I find. So which one gets the job? The one with the biggest breasts. The Mail printed that. Can you believe that? Shocking. Penguin walks into a bar, strolls up to the barmaid, says, have you seen my brother? The barmaid says, I don't know, what's he look like?
You actually like these, don't you?
Yeah. Well, you don't often get a laugh in the Mail, do you? A giraffe walks into the bar, says, I'll have a pint of beer. Says, that'll be £10. Giraffe pays her, and the barmaid says, we don't get many giraffes in here. The giraffe says, yeah, I'm not surprised at these prices. Blind man walks into a bar, says to the barmaid, I've got a really good blonde joke for you. The barman says to him, excuse me, I'm a 6-foot blonde rugby player. The woman behind you is a blonde shot putter, and the woman next to you is a blonde bodybuilder. Do you still want to tell that blonde joke? The blind man thinks for a second, shakes his head, and says, nah, not if I'm going to have to explain it 3 times. And a man walks into a bar and asks the barmaid for a double entendre. So she gave him one. My favourite. So what we talked about today then, eh?
I'm not going to fit much in.
Oh, go on, have a go.
April Fools, ads, exam excuses, subjects at school, women drivers,
yes.
fat tums, babes on the beach, ideal home show, jacuzzi and massages.
Oh, you're right, you didn't. 97.3 LBC, Clive is next.
Monkey Movie voiceover.